Welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. Today we are talking about dream publishers. I'm pretty sure we've talked about it in the past about the idea of the dream agent.
Yeah, we've definitely talked dream agent. I don't think we've ever talked publisher.
Yeah, well, most of the time we're gearing towards querying authors, which I think is
Hmm.
helpful. But I also think a lot of querying authors, as they become agented authors, also have a dream publisher. So it's that
Hmm.
publisher whose list they love or who is doing really fun stuff on social media, or who's constantly on the New York Times bestseller list. But as readers, we do kind of tend to flock, a lot of us tend to flock to a certain publisher or a certain type of publisher. And people who are invested in the industry and constantly reading or online will find that they have a publisher that they really clicked with. And
Hmm.
that will often become their dream publisher. Like, I have to have my book published with them.
Yep.
Um, so we wanted to talk a little bit about why you might have a dream publisher, how you might know, but also how to know whether that dream publisher is actually right for you. Um,
Hmm.
and if you have an agent, you can also ask your agent. But it's good to have that information for yourself too. Um, So the whole dream publisher thing, as readers, I think does come from reading, seeing what books you like, which books you've gravitated towards, who your favorite authors are publishing with. But I also, especially like in this increasingly online world, I think social media presence has a big thing to do with it.
I think
Um,
so. Yeah. I also think some of it comes from when the dream started. Like I sometimes hear authors talk about their dream publisher because they grew up reading a certain, or that's the publisher whose books made them fall in love with what they write or read the most, um, which can be very different from where things are today.
or where the dream started for that book. So if you
Yeah.
read, I don't know, give me a book. If you read like Diving Deep, then you might
Hmm.
think Charles Bridge is my dream publisher because I was reading that and I was using that, and that's how I came up with my idea.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
would be perfect for this. So like comp titles can also, or when
Hmm.
the dream or the idea for the book comes about, can also make a dream publisher, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, totally, totally. I So a lot of authors, not always, but when you get an offer from your publisher, you're going to have potentially phone calls or get information via email from the publisher about their feelings about your book and their thoughts for the vision of the book. And this is where I found with some authors the dream publisher gets tricky, because sometimes this is where the dream bubble has to burst, and we have to sort of confront the dream publisher versus reality. And I've seen a number of situations where the author is in discussions with maybe the dream publisher and another publisher, and this is the dream, right? You got the dream, so go for the dream. But the dream publisher doesn't seem to suddenly make sense. It's just their vision for the book isn't quite clicking for me, and the author, I think, it's really easy to get starry-eyed. You've had this dream for a long time, you struggled hard to get an agent, you've been writing your books, you've been doing all the work, and now all the dreams are coming true. But we have to sort of step back and saying, is the dream still right for me now, today, and this book?
Well, can you share your story? Because you were working with a client who was in a big heated auction and
Yeah,
this
we
whole
were
idea
taking a
came about.
number of phone calls from publishers, and the client really was just sold on the dream publisher. This is who they had always thought they'd be published with. And for me, it was, let's say, yellow flags everywhere because they weren't quite red. There was nothing wrong with the publisher. They're a great publisher, but just everything they were saying about the book and everything they were asking the author to do and even be, and for the book to be, was not at all what it was. And it was my job to have a really honest conversation and said, like, listen, I know you've dreamed of this publisher for a long time, but when I'm comparing what they're saying to what other editors are saying, they want you to do a 180 from who you are and who this book is. And everybody else wants to take what you've done and who you are and just run with it. And I just really did not believe the author or the book were going to have the success with this publisher. And that's something that I don't think we've ever really talked about or talk about enough, that, oftentimes we look at this book and we'll say, oh, every agent passed on that. They don't know what they're talking about. But the book even an agent submits is so dependent on a publisher's vision, not just editorially, but packaging and marketing and placement in bookstores, and all of it goes into the success of the book that somebody else might not be able to make happen. The book alone isn't going to be enough. Like, another publisher might not make that the success that one publisher did. And that's part of these conversations.
I
I
do
will
want to say
say,
too, we
but
just
fun.
did a video, depending on when this came out, a few weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago. We did a video recently on what to consider in an offer or from a publisher beyond the advance. And
Mhm.
I think it goes into a lot about why a dream publisher, in a roundabout way, why your dream publisher might not be your best publisher because of how we're evaluating offers. So I would highly recommend, after you watch this video, go watch that video so you can get a little bit more about what Jessica's talking about in terms of vision and other things that the publisher might bring to the table. But I do think it's important to, as soon as you're working with an agent and the book is going out on submission, to be fully transparent about the dream publisher. I think it's good for us to know.
Very good. Because it's good to know where you're coming from. And one of the reasons I think authors often pick a dream publisher is because those are the books they love, right? And so that's the kind of book they write, and they could absolutely see their book on the list. But sometimes that is why it's not the best publisher. Because if you are following what's really hot with dream publisher, and they already have 10 similar books on their list, you are not going to be somebody special on their list. However, if you find the publisher who also follows the successes of the dream publisher and says, we need more of that, that might suddenly become your publisher, because you are not just another of that success on their list. You are going to be the one who's going to lead the way for them to create their own similar list. And that's really important to consider too, because oftentimes we pick dream publishers because they're already doing a lot of what we're doing, but that might be why they're not the best publisher.
True, but also just to stress, this is not like a rule. So it's
No.
different for every author, every genre, every age group, even every book. So they could be the perfect publisher for you because they're doing everything, or they could be the perfect publisher for you and your dream publisher. It is a conversation that you have to have with your agent. I think that's what we're trying to get across in this video, is have that conversation before the book goes out on sub. It's very helpful for your agent to know that, and to know why, not just to know Berkeley is my dream publisher. That's good to know. It's not the most helpful. Tell us why Berkeley is your dream publisher.
Yeah, it's a good
Is it
sign.
your list? Is it their list? That's fine. We should know that. Is it because of the people that are on their list? That can also help us craft the submission list or pick who's the best person to go there. Or is it because, like, you love what they're doing on social media? You love what they're doing with their covers, anything like that. Because even if you don't land with that publisher, we can try and take what you really love about that publisher and bring to your publisher, whoever you land with too. So there are so many reasons why we should be in the know, and we should be aware of who your dream publisher is, not just for submitting, not just for negotiation and strategy, but also for making the book what you want it to be in the end, because I think it could be really helpful to have an understanding about your vision, and dream publisher is part of the vision for the book.
Yeah, and I think it's good to try to clear your head. Let the dream publisher become, rather than go in with already is. I had another situation where an author had 2 dream publishers, and we submitted wide, and one of the dream publishers did come back with an offer. But what sold us wasn't this was always the dream. It was the conversation with the editor was like, holy crap, this is a perfect fit.
Exactly.
And so they claimed their space as a dream publisher. Who they were in the author's mind beforehand really had nothing to do with it, other than the fact that I made sure to submit to them.
Yep. Okay, so rule number 1 of dream publishers, tell your agent. Rule number 2, tell your agent. Rule number 3, tell your agent. So we hope this was helpful. Don't forget, go watch that other video. I'm probably a little biased, but I think it was a really helpful video in terms of knowing dream publisher and how a publisher can become your dream publisher. So don't forget to watch that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you back here next week.
Bye.